Welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin Youth Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can listen to all of our terrific podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording this episode on Monday, July 24th, and join me as always, my friend, my colleague, the very bright one, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Hey, Dr. O, forecasters, in the economic wizards, economists, people of that ilk, YouTube charlatans, you name it. They've all been predicting a recession, and you've been sort of holding that off and saying, even, giving me grief, in a recent episode for calling out a technical recession, saying that a recession is not imminent, but you're thinking, and this is, tell me how this is not a reversal on your part. You're thinking that a recession is still possible and that time may prove that correct. What are you seeing now that you're not seeing, and are you just hedging your bet? I'm asking the tough questions.
Great question. No, I'm not hedging my bet. I think we can avoid a recession, but a recession is potentially still in the cards. And the reason I say this is the Fed has never been able to do this, to accomplish this soft landing. And so if I just look at my odds here based on how often the Fed has been able to cool the economy and avoid a recession, it's just not happened. Maybe once or twice, I don't know. But it's such a rare feat. And so it always goes too far. The Fed always ends up going too far. And maybe that's the problem with being too data dependent, right? So, you see core inflation sticky and you say, hey, I need to hit the brakes even harder, but ultimately we're on trend to end up with inflation below the Fed's target by 2024.
That all sounds pretty good. So,
yeah, but you also have potential headwinds, right? You have, this whole student loan repayment that's coming to the forefront.
September 1st. Yeah, just to be clear. And our team at the Center Square has written about this, a fair amount. President Biden's initiative to basically give a rebate against student loans and forgive student loans, that did not hold up with the Supreme Court. So September 1st, the people who have not been paying their student loans, the vast majority of them anyway, will start to pay them again. And that's not insignificant. I mean, from a sort of just a consumer's perspective, right? I mean, if you hold this kind of debt, it's meaningful. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in most cases.
That's right. That's it. And you have people who probably have never made a payment if they left school in 2019 or something like that, right? And so so you end up with a situation where the consumer is going to get squeezed a little bit, and maybe that actually, reduces consumption somewhat. And so that becomes a headwind. That becomes another.
Are you suggesting that the Sunday brunch and mimosa train and the avocado toast crowd is going to be suffering?
I expect that you have two types of groups. You have many groups of people here. Some of them are going to be highly paid, because the truth is the people with the most debt are the people who spent the most time, the most years in schooling, and they tend to have highly paid jobs, right? And then you have the group of people who took out some loans, may not have gone down the path that yielded huge wage gains during the pandemic, or who may not be earning a lot and who are going to be squeezed. And and those people are already squeezed, by the way, right? There's a ton of research that shows basically that people at the lower end of the income distribution tend to end up spending more of their income, mostly because they don't earn that much to start with. But at the same time, right, they're faced with, the high cost of kind of, necessities, especially in this inflationary environment. And yes, even with inflation coming down, inflation coming down doesn't mean prices are coming down. It just means the growth and that increase in prices, the price gains have slowed. And so there's a lot of people that will feel the pinch And that's a potential headwind going forward. And then again, we keep seeing these disturbances, these shocks due to unusual weather events, right? And that's another potential headwind for the U.S. economy going forward. And so anyway, you put those things together. I mean, everybody you see in Europe, you're seeing the crazy temperatures are slowing things down, basically killing entire economies, in my opinion. I mean, at least putting them on pause, at least, right? You have places where bulk of the economy is tourism, and you don't have people can't go to these, to visit these monuments and to eat outside, which, local shops rely on, entire families rely on. So that's overseas, but we're seeing that here in the U.S. as well. We have entire towns that are destroyed by hurricanes and weird weather events. Another potential headwind going forward. And then you have I started with the Fed, and then you have the Fed, of course, that probably ought to stop hiking after this week's hike, but may not. But we'll see.
Orphe, thanks so much. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.